Oh, by the way, what's going on in Belarus right now? Well, just to reinforce again, I'm hedging my bets. I'm just saying, as a contrarian, there's a very real possibility, knowing what I know about Russian military history. There's a very real possibility that a gigantic strategic head fake is going on. Because what's going on right now would be kind of the equivalent of if they had had TikTok on December 6th, 1941, the equivalent of a Japanese torpedo bomber pilot do and wearing a grass skirt on the flight deck of the Hiryu, um, and winking at the camera is going on right now.
Russia's chickens are coming home to Bela-roost.
I get that. So I got that reference. And that's my Captain America reference. And so what's going on is, Putin made this ludicrous deal, and then he spent 2 days doing head fakes, decorating people for not getting cooed, decorating his minister of defense, who is the guy that to be fair here, Prigozhin called out the minister of defense by name and the chief of staff of the army by name. And now we're supposed to believe, we're honestly supposed to believe, and Putin's deal was, all right, you've been naughty. There's going to be hell to pay, or you can move to Belarus. And forgiveness, I has it. And that he would take his most effective unit, that's not even in the army, take them off the front line at the eve of what's bound to be when the Ukrainians commit as much as their stuff as they want to, up against what's so far been the anvil that they're hammering on, because attacks it's far more wasteful and casualty inducing to attack than it is to defend. And so coming up here, where are we 1 month into the Ukrainian counteroffensive or attack? Is F-16s are on the way, but they're still a month away. The most combat effective unit under Putin's command, the commander just redeployed to Belarus. And now about 8,000 of his core guys, his 300, that's, Leonidas left Sparta with his 300 best warriors. Prigozhin's best 8,000 are busy driving to a new purpose-built camp for the Wagner guys in Belarus, just south of Minsk. Lukashenko said publicly last night, yes, of course you can stay here, you'll pay, but I could use a unit like you in my army, and all this. Anyway, new construction was just shared, open source, civilian accessible satellite pictures show that in a city called Sel, south of Minsk, TSEL, it's about one third of the way to the Ukrainian border, exactly where in February of last year the Russians staged their invasion, their first attempt at that airport. So anyway, the orders and the hiring of the construction and the constructors and all that is underway, and they have ordered the equivalent of what would be about 8,000 beds, 8,000 bunks, 400 two-seat toilets are required by tomorrow. A forestry worker was quoted as saying to Moscow Times, which is not in Russia. It's a opposition media source. It's been pretty good over the past 5 years, so anyway, you can't hide the logistics. That's what's really funny about, like, last year, the people denying that Putin was about to invade Ukraine could not deny that all these camps in Belarus and ringing Ukraine in January and February were filled with tents that had not been occupied for a few weeks, and then suddenly they were occupied because it costs money to move an army and to put them somewhere where that's not prepared for them. And these tents were covered in snow. November, December, January, February. Suddenly, first week of February, half the tents are don't have snow on the top anymore. Why not? Did it only snow on those tents over there? No, because the stoves were lit in the tents, and they were And then suddenly there were very visible, I mean, from space, there were very visible footpaths going from the tents to the toilets and the tents to the chow hall. You can't hide that and you can't fake it. And why would you if you're going to do it anyway? So anyway, that's what's going on right now. But don't worry, everybody, because it was the narrative that it was a coup was asked of Anthony Blinken just a few minutes ago by Andrea Mitchell, who's super smart, and she's still operating with this shorthand that, well, he was coming to Moscow to like clean out the Kremlin. No, he wasn't. No, it was never the plan. That's why he stopped where he stopped, so that 8,000 guys could take a left and, and go into their new camp in Belarus. It's funny. I mean, you do, if you know Russian military history, you know that they have a history of going through extensive deception to hide what everyone knows is coming, but they still make an attempt to hide it. And that's what they did in February of last year, and they're doing it right now. It's funny because it is sort of the opposite of for all their genius or their mythical genius. The Germans were really bad, like Operation Overlord. It wasn't Operation Invade the Normandy coast and not the Pas-de-Calais like Hitler thinks, because that would be giving it away. And that's the entire joke in the movie Airplane, when what's his name, Robert Hayes, just gives up the whole battle plan to some broad he met in the bar or whatever. But the Allies were really good. I mean, they literally had like a word generator, and they said, Operation. Well, what are we going to call the invasion of Sicily? Operation Husky, because who would tie that? The entire point is it can't be tied to the objective. And the one exception would, and that if it got out, you couldn't tie it back to the objective. Is it Operation Just Cause or is it Operation Just Cause? The invasion of Panama. But the Germans were really bad at that. They were terrible at that, and Stalin could see that we know what the objective is by the name of the operation. They named an operation after Friedrich Barbarossa, a great conqueror. And what else are they going to do? So they keep talking about this on the radio, and they're not even covering up the name. But so anyway, like I say, there's some things you can't hide. Like you can't hide a whole bunch of Russian military trucks and open pickups driving into Belarus to this one place. And that's what's going on right now.
Do you agree with former ambassador to Russia and former governor of Utah, John Huntsman, that Putin's grip on power has never been so precarious?
He still controls the state. He controls the security apparatus. He's got more bombs and guns than anybody else. But I'm here to tell you, I think we're witnessing the final saga of Vladimir Putin.
You think that's optimistic?
Is that Huntsman?
Yeah, that is Huntsman.
He was ambassador to China.
And Russia
really?
At a different point, yeah.
He has a magic power. His wife is a hottie and his daughters are hotties.
That is magic power.
Putin's uncontested leadership is over. So I don't say that hyperbolically. I say for 23 years, Putin has been uncontested in terms of his ability to call the shots as a final arbiter of all decisions in Russia. That now comes to an end. Number two.
But that has always been because, and I don't know that men like John Huntsman from Planet Utah understand men like Putin. He has always squeezed out the rivals. And what he just did on Saturday was he got to see who sided with with Prigozhin and who supported the Kremlin. But for he knows that a lot of the army guys knew that it wasn't a coup. It wasn't an anti-Putin coup. But a year and 4 months into this conflict, he is more precarious than ever because finally he does have an army that really, really, they can't hide the truth from each other. They know that they were sent on bad information to go invade virtually a brother country. And they're pretty pissed it's going on continually, and they're pissed at the way that Putin treated his caterer better, stripping away their resources, taking away their artillery, their helicopters and all that. I think he kind of is, but But I think part of it is that he wants people to think that he's on his back foot, and he's very good at that. And I mean, keep in mind this is a guy who was in East Germany as it collapsed, and he personally came up with as the East Germans were busy looting their own Stasi's archive. They showed up at the steps of the KGB building in East Berlin, and Putin personally said, "Nope, you're not getting in." I mean, the guy can survive, and I think that while it looks unlikely, if you watch the American media, if you watch Russian military history and Putin's relationship with Prigozhin, it's just really weird. A ruthless dictator kills a rival like Prigozhin. It doesn't give him the option to move to Belarus, where, oh, by the way, not reported in the American media, but reported heavily in Europe and in Russia, Putin moved short-range nuclear ballistic missiles to Belarus last month. So Lukashenko, that crazy Stalin cosplay guy, is the Earth's new nuclear power. And so all bets are off on that. I mean, I beg to differ. I've never been the ambassador to anything, but unlike John Huntsman, I did live with him for months, so I know a thing or two about a thing or two on this.
And